Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Essential Island Living team call. I am Liza, and I'm super excited. A few months ago, I had told you guys that it was one of my goals to start bringing in other voices to our call, and we've had our gold and silver leaders, Kate, Kanani, Keisha, and Aisha, step up and help us run some team calls. We've also had Noelle that has come on and joined us. But tonight we have a super amazing special guest. So I'm going to introduce her in a minute. But before I do, let's go ahead and do our call protocol. So go ahead and grab your favorite oil. And I know somebody had given this a name and I can't remember. So anybody has a good name for this, let me know. All right, grab your favorite oil and take 3 deep breaths. And if you feel inclined, please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can. All right, go ahead and show everybody what you use. I skipped that part. You can flash your oil in the screen. Ooh, I got some peppermint buddies tonight. Some balance. Nice. Awesome. Welcome everybody else who's tuning in. Thanks for showing up. Okay, a couple of team announcements. How is it the middle of August already? Flash sale is happening. Back to school flash sale is happening, and it is pretty amazing. If you haven't had time to reach out and personally connect with customers, potential customers, please be sure to make an effort to do that. It's not too late. We still have 2 full days. Remember, for us though here in Hawaii, that the cutoff time to order is 8 p.m. So don't, encourage people. I always try to say actually by 6 or 7, even with BOGOs, not to wait. You always get that text, I thought it ended Friday, because it's like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, right? So be sure to be of service to your customers, reach out, make sure they know about the sales. I personally texted about 200 to 300 people in the last 3 days. And a lot of people didn't know because they're not really active on social media. It's a busy time of the year, so people aren't on as much. I know I'm not as much either. So really reaching out personally is so great. And then I've enrolled, I think, 3 people this week with back to school items from the sale. So this is a great time to really reach out to people that have expressed interest and help them take advantage of some of these awesome products. Okay, so there's that. We have 3 more classes coming up this month. Aisha's hosting one on Friday in Kihei at 5:30. She's going to be doing a little make and take with that one too. Kanani's having an emotions and essential oils class on Sunday at 1. And then Fraser is hosting her first class on Sunday as well on Oahu in Kaneohe. I'm going to be flying up there Saturday night to help her facilitate that class. And but she is opening it up to anybody that's on the team that wants to come and learn more. So if you want those details, you can reach out to her. Of course, you can reach out to me. So okay, I think that's it. Oh, last thing, I always ask this. Please, as much as possible, try to be active in our groups. Testimonials, well, our group. but for those of us that are builders in both of our groups, testimonials are so powerful. Welcoming people, liking those posts always makes people feel so welcome and special when we take a little bit of time to comment and like those posts in the Facebook group. And, you know, if you're not super active, even if you go on there once or twice a week and kind of catch up on what's going on, I've been trying to be really diligent about posting something of value every day, whether it be about the specials or the promotions or education. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Okay, I'm going to look real quick. Kate, Kanani, did I miss anything in terms of team announcements? No, we're good. Okay, October 26th, mark that date in your calendar. Oahu, especially my Oahu peeps, but my Maui peeps too. I already booked a hotel room, so let's try to get as many new customers to the post-convention. I forget what they're calling it, the Together Tour, I think. Yeah, Together Tour. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to go with that. I think it's right. Yeah, let's get them there. We want to get there, but we really want to get other people there. Yeah, and September's convention. So, okay, without further ado, you guys, I want to introduce you to Jen, and I'm going to actually make this speaker view so that when she starts talking, she'll kind of, pop out. Wait, hold on. How is that? I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, well, there's Jen. From on my screen, she's waving. And for those of you that went to the Healthy Habits Tour, she was one of the speakers and presenters. She is a diamond. She has recently moved to Maui with her husband, Brian, and their 3 kids. They're living up in Kula. And she has a really, really deep passion for helping people and for empowering them. And she has a program called Mindful Mentoring, which I asked her to do this call before I even knew that this program existed. So when she sent me to her website, I was like blown away, one, at how amazingly grateful I was, because people pay a lot of money for this mindful mentoring program with her. And she's here doing it, her first session with us for free. So I was beyond grateful, and I was just so impressed with the testimonials and the quality of the website and the content. So I'm so grateful that she is here to share with all of us tonight. And as you can see, I did my due diligence to get out and tell as many people on the team to show up for this, builder or not. This is not about just building the doTERRA business. This is about us growing as individuals, as evolving, becoming the better, best versions of ourselves, which I don't think you're ever really the best. That's just a constant process. So this first session is called Uncover Your Resistance. But for the first time in a long time, I get to shut up and we get to hear from somebody else. Actually, Kate and Kanani have been stepping up with team calls, so I shouldn't say that, and Aisha. But yeah, so everyone, meet Jen, and let's welcome her. You're all muted, but welcome her. Okay, welcome, Jen. Go ahead, unmute yourself and take it away.
Thank you so much. And I actually prefer for it to be in this group setting because I love to work with the energy of everything that's happening in here. So if you feel comfortable turning on your cameras, I like to be able to see all of your smiling faces. So yeah, I realized in my doTERRA business that I was coming up against resistance, and it was so interesting to me because I was always like, oh my gosh, like there's nobody else I can invite to a class. And like there was all these stories playing in my head about like not having people to sample or not having the right sample in my purse. And it was like excuse after excuse. And so I just decided that I needed more mindfulness and I needed like a mindset coach. And as I was looking for it, I couldn't really figure out who to hire for what I was looking for. And so the program that I'm going to put you guys through tonight actually was completely through my intuition of me digging really, really deep on the inside of me and trying to determine, like, what the freak was my problem and why was I standing in my way from stepping into my power? What was it that was holding me back from being like the best, fullest version of myself? And what I realized was that the only thing people really knew about me was that I was a doTERRA leader and that I was a mom. And they didn't know like all these other pieces about me. And so as I sat down quietly on my yoga mat, I got out a piece of paper, and that's what you guys are gonna do tonight. So grab a piece of paper that's in front of you, because literally my program is taking you through all the things I took myself through to get me to where I am right now. Not just in doTERRA, but in life in general. So the first thing I did was I wrote my name down on the middle of the paper. So I want you guys to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to write your name down in the middle of the paper. And then I want you guys to draw a shape around your name. It might be a heart, might be a triangle, might be a cloud, might be a square, whatever that looks like to you, whatever pops into your head. And tonight, I'm gonna really push you out of your comfort zone to drop deep into your gut and deep into your intuition. So everything that happens in here is a complete safe space. I know it's being recorded, but I'm gonna ask for some vulnerability through the process here. So the first thing you're gonna do is write your name down in the piece of the paper. And I'm gonna ask you a really simple question. Who are you? Who are you outside of doTERRA? What are all the things that you love? What are the crazy things that people don't know about you? What are you, what I call closet passionate about? What is it that, like, when you're taking a shower in the morning, you're like, I am so awesome because I dance, or because I sing, or because I build crystal grids, but like nobody freaking knows that about you. Like, what are all those things that make you you? And just flow that onto your paper. I'm going to give you some time and space to do that. And then as you're finishing up with that, I want you to write down the one thing that you didn't want to write down this whole time. What's the one thing that stretches you out of your comfort zone to write down about who you are? And then once you've written down who you are, at the top of your paper, I want you to write, here I am. This is me. All of the parts of me. Here I am. This is me. All of the parts of me. And then in the chat box, I want you to share with the group the one thing about you that surprised you the most that came out of this. When you wrote it down, you were like, ooh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was a piece of me. But like you can feel it. So I want you to claim it.
We rarely use the chat. Does everybody know where the chat box is?
So the chat box is on the bottom of your screen. I should have asked you that. So we're going to actually interact in the chat box tonight, ladies. So figure out where the chat box is and how to use that, because we can actually, yep, that's it. Tia, you found it. Because we can actually export the chat box to be able to save it so that you guys have a team vision of who you are as a team. So that's why we're doing this, okay? In quite a while. Go to bed. Thank you. Okay, so as you find the chat box and as you get vulnerable and you share who you are or one of your statements that makes you you, maybe it's just a word. So the word that like freaked me out when I did this exercise for myself was author. I was like, what? Like that's super uncomfortable. Like it was never in my mind that I was going to be writing a book someday. But there's been a lot that's come through lately where I was like, I see how that could be working out soon. So write that, you know, like really think about what that is for you. All right, I see them coming through. Meticulous, connector, counseling, coaching, healed. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Neat freak. Do you listen to music when you clean? Who said neat freak? Yeah. Like you are excited about being a neat freak. I need you at my house. My husband's been gone for 12 days and he's going to come home to complete bomb tomorrow. Like, I'm not a neat freak. Organizer, writer. I love it, faith filled. Thank you guys for sharing. Oh, that's okay. So Sierra, what we're working on is a piece of paper with your name in the middle. And then I see cute baby feet. A piece of paper with your name in the middle. And then all the things that make you you are going to surround your name. So just write all the things that make you you around your name. Perfect. Liza, you are an amazing team. Holy cow. So I have to tell you guys really quick while you're finishing up putting these in the chat boxes, all I was thinking when I hopped on this call tonight was like, I want to be a part of your guys' team. Like I want you guys to lead my team calls with me because I love the energy. It's that Hawaiian vibe that I need on my mainland. Okay. All right, you guys. So here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what resistance is. Resistance is the opposition of the current flow. So when your life is going amazing, there's something that happens called resistance that comes into your world and shifts it. That resistance can show up as fear, it can show up as scarcity, it can show up as a lot of different things in our life. So what's happened over time in your lifetime is that you were doing something and you were feeling really amazing and super empowered in what you were doing, and then resistance came in and completely stopped your inspired action. So when you start working against resistance, there's no space for you to not take inspired action. So what I'm going to teach you guys tonight is how to be able to identify resistance and then how to unravel that. Because in my opinion, and with all these people who I've been so blessed to work with in my coaching program, once we can identify what resistance is to them, then we give resistance a seat at the table, which means we allow it the space to show up, which means we can dismiss it. So until you name what your resistance is, there's no way to understand what all that negative subconscious thought pattern is. So what we're going to do right now is bring all of our resistance up to our frontal cortex. So I love that you guys use peppermint. One, peppermint is the oil of a buoyant heart. And then also peppermint helps to open up the throat chakra, which is what you need to be able to do this exercise. So I typically use lavender or peppermint with clients for this exercise. So either on the back of the piece of paper you were just working on, or if you can, on a clean sheet of paper, I want you to go ahead and write down the word resistance in the middle of your paper and put a box around it, or I guess a rectangle, probably more so than a box, but box it in somehow. And now I'm going to ask you to do something super vulnerable. I'm going to ask you to dig deep and think about all the ways that you resist showing up as all the things you just said you were. I just felt everybody like, ah, but it's good, I promise. This is the heaviest part of the call. It's going to get so much better after this. So what holds you back from being a caregiver? What holds you back from being connected? What holds you back from being an influencer? What are the excuses you make up to not be faith-filled? Why haven't you written the book if you're a writer? What does it feel like when you feel you're least driven? Somebody wrote driven on here. What do you dread most about being a teacher? Like, just call it all out and give it a name at the table. It might be procrastination, it might be unorganized, it might be being on Facebook. What are all the ways you resist stepping into your full potential? Resistance is the opposition. Resistance is the opposition of the current flow. So anything that goes against you becoming the fullest version of yourself shows up as resistance. And then as you start thinking you're done with all the ways that you resist. I want you to dig just a little bit deeper. So the way that I like to put this is, for those of you who do yoga, when you're on your yoga mat and your instructor says, like, just breathe one more time, even though your body is shaking right now, I want that piece of resistance on your paper. The crunchy part, the part that you have to stretch into because it's so uncomfortable to name it that it scares you.
I know this seems really bad, but I feel like I'm lost just in this process right now.
Okay.
It's like I'm hearing too much. I don't know where to go. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So go ahead and write down resist. You have resistance written in the middle of your paper.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a couple words on your who you are page. Did you do the who you are page first? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I wrote child of God, writer, non-focused, singer.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Have you recorded an album?
No.
Like, have you sang a song to record an album?
Have I created a song to do an album? Is that what you're
asking? Yeah, like have you gone into a recording studio and actually recorded a song onto an album to sell music?
No.
Okay.
But that's kind of not my goal. My goal is just to write music.
Okay. Have you written music?
Yes, but I haven't gone to the point of publishing anything.
Okay, so what is the story in your head that you're not good enough to publish it? That's resistance.
Ah, okay.
What's holding you back from publishing that music? Or even sharing it with people or showing it to people? So,
story in my head that I tell myself.
Mm-hmm. You're overthinking it. Just take a deep breath and think, why do you resist? Why do you resist doing that? What stops you from doing that? Is it is it kids? Is it grocery shopping? Is it not having enough time?
It's just one child. No, I'm just joking.
Okay. It's that you could put a child's name down on resistance. Go for it.
No, that was a joke.
That child's name better not be mine.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's who I was saying. It was just a joke, darling. Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay. So now I want you guys to name it. I want you to name it in the chat box. What surprised you the most? What is that thing that you were like, oh, like all the time? All the time, I'm like, no, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I'm not enough. What is it? What is it that holds you back to your full potential? Hey, Ray, you want to play a game with me tonight? Because I always say who's hot. The first one to type in the chat box is the one who's on. Ooh, afraid to take risks. Letting people down because I can't meet everyone's needs. Fear of failure, fear of rejection. Keep them coming. Oh, I'm not good enough. That one like controls your whole life. Like if I'm not good enough is your resistance, man, like it's your whole life, right? Like that one really digs deep. Procrastination. What else do we have in there? Do you guys know that a piece of my resistance was positivity? Like the story playing in my head is that I was too positive of a person. Like other people would be like, what? Like, we love your positivity. And I'd be like, oh, I'm just too much, right? So it's self-sabotage. That's how that shows up. Fear of running out of time, lack of commitment, distractions, lack of energy, not knowing enough, not saying no. Oh, not saying no enough. Boundaries is one of my favorite things to talk about. Boundaries. Having everything perfect. Unable to organize tasks. You guys are amazing. Look at these. Okay. So, Ray, you want to play tonight? I always pick one person that puts the chat box first. They get to play live.
I unmuted you, Ray. You're on.
Okay, I'll play.
Okay, are you feeling vulnerable?
What's that?
Are you feeling vulnerable?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
I'm all good.
And right now you're literally in the center. I don't know what everybody else's screen looks like, but you're like in the center of my screen right now. Not taken seriously. Feel like I have no time. Ooh, college, business, kids, excuses. Okay, all right. So now that you've named resistance, we're gonna link it up. Okay, so you have resistance on one paper, and you have all the things that make you you on the other paper. So when I do one-on-one coaching sessions with people, everything up to this point right here is the same. But what I'm about to do with Ray is what I do in a one-to-one coaching session. And I like don't have the capacity or the time to be able to do it with all 21 of you. But her vulnerability is going to allow you guys to open up if you play full out. So the questions that I asked to Ray, start asking those questions in your own head, okay? All right, you ready, Ray?
Okay.
Okay. Read to me all the ways that resistance shows up for you.
Okay. So let's see. I have procrastination, too much Pollyanna, disorganized, doing for others and being job busy, not good enough. That's it. And the fear of rejection.
Which one surprised you the most? When you wrote it down, which one were you like, oh, I didn't realize that was playing a part in me not playing big?
Sorry, one sec. Ray, can you put your volume up just a little bit? Like I can hear you, but like on the volume on your computer just a little bit.
How's that? Is that better?
Totally better. No, Diana, not better? No? Is that the loudest you got, Ray?
It's the loudest on my computer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Another volume thing? No, right?
Maybe you need to lean in closer.
Come closer.
Come closer to my screen.
Like, okay.
Okay. Okay, so which piece of that, Ray, which piece of that surprised you the most? You guys are going to see my forehead because I get really intense right now. Go ahead.
Okay. It was between fear of rejection and doing for others job busy.
How many children are in your family?
How many children?
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 other siblings.
What's your birth order? Oldest or youngest?
Oldest.
So who did you have to take care of when you were a kid?
Both of my sisters.
So like from a super young age, you learned how to take care of them.
Oh, yes. I'd say I was responsible for my sisters, gosh, from when I was like in the 4th grade.
Okay. So would you agree that in your adult life, you've been programmed to take on responsibility for others and created codependency?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So can you see a parallel between how that plays a role in how you can't show up fully?
I do.
Okay. Read to me the other piece that surprised you about resistance.
All right. Not good enough or fear of rejection.
Who in your mind is perfect, your mom or your dad?
My dad.
Who put you on a pedestal between the ages of 4 and 7 to make you feel like you had to be perfect?
My dad. Not on a pedestal,
Okay.
but on in being critical.
Mm-hmm.
The expectation of being able to do beyond what anyone else was doing, and not achieving that was not an option.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's why you are the person you are today. Right?
It is.
So then, what was the feeling? So you guys, when I do these calls, I look off in the distance. This is just me tapping into intuition and what's coming through to ask Ray. So I look at myself during this process as being a conduit. Okay, so this isn't like, it's kind of this middle ground. So I like to be clear about that because it's not that I'm not paying attention to what she's saying. Okay, so your relationship with your dad. What was the youngest, most fond memory you have of joy and happiness with him?
Fishing.
Okay. And did he judge how big the fish was that you caught?
No, never.
Okay. So sometime between your childhood memory of when you would go fishing with him, right? And you would have this emotional connection to joy, and the time that it bridged to you taking care of your siblings, there was some sort of disconnect there. And what it did was it reprogrammed your subconscious to go into, I'm not worthy, right? Like I'm judged, like everybody's watching me. And so for you, it's been like this thing where it's like all eyes are on me and I have to live up to these standards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for you to face resistance with courage in the face, we have to reprogram that. We have to work to reprogram this subconscious thought pattern, because what's happening right now in your life is like things are going good, and then all of a sudden you have to like maximize it or make it better. So I don't know if you've done strengths finders. I don't know if maximizer is part of yours. Maximizer is part of yours.
Maximizer is not part of mine, but I definitely understand strength finders. Yeah.
Okay. What is your top 5 by, if you know, just a couple?
Okay, influencer. I have 2 in relationship. I can't think of it right offhand. Strategic.
Okay. So it's just the way that the stories play out in your head. Like, I don't know if this is totally on point right now, but if you were to create something and create a project, you're probably not going to release it into the world super fast without really identifying if it was worthy of releasing, if anybody else wants to hear about it. Is there anything else you can do to make it better? Does that sound familiar?
Kind of. I'm kind of the opposite, actually.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I get ideas quickly, and I want to share it because I'm a social processor.
Okay.
So I will share it to get feedback. So I don't, it's odd because I'm not afraid to be vulnerable in that way. And yet I have this underlying not good enough um, feeling always, always,
Mm-hmm.
which gives me great anxiety every time I have to do a presentation and step in front of people, which I have to do often. And with doTERRA, it makes it difficult for me to approach people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. One of my mantras actually is that anxiety calms with deep compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that moment of feeling anxiety and you feel this fight or flight in your body, if you can find a way to drop into deep compassion and acceptance in that moment, it actually won't allow anxiety to have space. So you guys can all try this in your life. The next time like your phone rings and you're like, oh, like I do not want to answer that call. See if you can have a little bit of compassion for the person who's calling you on the other end of the phone. So anxiety comes from a lack of compassion, therefore anxiety comes from judgment. So if you are a person who constantly feels judged, you're gonna feel anxious because you never know in your mind, you never know what people are thinking about you and what they're gonna say about you and how they're gonna react to it. And so even though you're actually going out in the world and you're socially sharing information to get feedback, there's still like a fear of like, what are they going to say? And it's also like very telling of codependency is that people ask for feedback because they won't like, it's really hard to release it on your own because it's harder to not blame somebody else. This is actually a role that I played. Before I really took myself on in huge ways, I would not, everything was somebody else's fault. If like I was late to a meeting, it was because I didn't know the right time of the meeting or somebody else didn't remind me what the time was at the meeting, right? Or if I didn't get the present I wanted, it was like, you don't pay attention to anything I say. So it's kind of like this queen crown that I was wearing that really didn't serve anybody and like for sure didn't serve myself. And I suffered from extreme anxiety. So when I learned to have compassion for myself and take ownership of who I was and what I was doing, then like all that anxiety calmed down because there wasn't this like tailspin action that was happening in my mind. Okay, so this is part of how I came to figure out what I now call mindful mentoring was through that process. Okay, so now that we have a little bit more of the background, thank you for sharing. Now that we have a little bit more of your background, you can't mute yourself because you're not done yet. What we're gonna do now is I want you to tell me the things that make you outside of doTERRA. So get back out your sheet of what makes you you. And for everybody, you guys look at your sheet that makes you you. Okay. And then remind me again of all the amazing qualities and all the things that Ray brings to the table.
Okay. Mother, daughter, friend, wife, caregiver, teacher, arts lover, artist, one who craves trees, creator, guide, crystal collector, connected empath, dreamer, writer, student of life, skinny dipper, hidden poet. Let's see. Educator, of course. That was first. Change maker.
Awesome. Okay. Are you ready to stand up to resistance?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
Let's do this, right? All of a sudden the energy shifts in your guys' Zoom room, like, oh, good. She's done now, right? Like she's done playing the like, all these things are happening. And now like all of you guys who are on the call is like, shoot, like what happened in my childhood that like screwed me up, and like where do I have to go back to release that, and like what's gonna happen? So the next thing we're gonna have you do, Ray, is you're gonna take out your page of resistance.
Okay.
And if you have another colored pen, it's ideal for all of you guys on the call.
Got it.
What color did you pick? I always ask what color you picked.
Right now I have green.
So green is the color of the heart. Green is the color of the heart chakra. So that doesn't actually surprise me at all. So that you guys have a little tidbit about Ray before I move to Kula. You know how your iPhone listens to you and then weird things happen? Before I moved to Kula, I was telling Brian, like, I think maybe I'm gonna start a moon circle when I get to Kula, because the moon would look like super cool from our new house. And then all of a sudden the next day, it pops up in Facebook that like Ray commented on the Juniper and Jasmine moon circle or something rather. And I reached out to Ray and she's like, oh yeah, I live in Kula too. And I was like, oh, of course, of course. So Ray and I go way back. She was the first person I actually knew on Maui before we lived here. So it's amazing that I get to work with you tonight. Yay. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, my friends. We're gonna take that piece of paper with resistance on it, and we are going to say thank you so much to resistance, but you don't actually control my life anymore, because I've seen how I resist, and so now we're gonna go through the process of reprogramming that. So the process is every single piece of resistance on your paper in a different colored pen, I want you to write a positive affirmation that outweighs that resistance. So an I am statement, or I declare, or I something. And then Ray, I'm gonna work this out with you. So you tell me if you're stuck somewhere and we'll work together.
Okay.
Also, in this process, ladies, your gut is your guide. So like if you're thinking about something and you feel it in your stomach, that's the affirmation to reprogram it. Like really tune into your body during this process. And some of you may have written resistance as I am statements already. So if you said like I am not organized as a piece of resistance, then I want you to find a really strong I am statement to counteract that. Or you could cross out the not. If there's anybody who's stuck on converting a part of their resistance, just drop what your resistance is into the chat box, and I'll see if we can work through it together.
Okay, I have one.
Okay.
The fear of rejection.
Okay.
I can put I am brave, and I have courage, but I don't think that is quite the positive affirmation for that fear of rejection. I am afraid maybe would be for I am brave and I have courage.
Okay. What do you want? What do you want? More than anything else right now in your life, what do you want?
Oh. More than anything else in my life right now, I want to continue to contribute the way I do and have a place for me as a human being.
Okay, tell me more.
Um,
How would you sum that up in one word to have that space? What does that space feel like?
that space would be choosing to make time for me.
Okay. What's the energy around having enough time for yourself feel like? It doesn't feel brave, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? What does that energy feel like?
Gosh, I'm not really sure because it's not about being brave. It's about not sacrificing myself for everybody else, for everything else for my ideas, for my goals, for others.
Is it freedom?
It is freedom.
It's freedom, right? Like from the beginning of you saying that, the word that kept coming up for me was free, but I try and let you get to that space or closer to it. Okay, so what you're looking for is to be free. Free of burdens, free of responsibility, free to be yourself, all the things. Like to just feel freaking free of all of it.
Yeah, probably why I like skinny dipping so much.
Yes. If you didn't come up with free, that's what I was going to ask you. Why do you like skinny dipping so much? Because you feel free, right? It is not an activity that makes you feel confined in any way to go skinny dipping.
No, because I feel
like that is
that's what it is. It's
okay.
Connected to connect. It's a Gaia connection.
Okay, so I am connected. I am free. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
What else?
And I am accepted.
That's an amazing one. I love I am accepted. You are so accepted. So I want you guys to go ahead and start dropping your I am statements into the chat box. And I want you to drop in either the one that you're having a hard time with or the one that surprised you the most, because we have just a couple extra minutes to work with you guys. So Ray, while everybody is kind of gathering their thoughts, tell me all the things, tell me all of your I am statements.
Okay. I am organized. I am grounded. I am free. I am accepted. I am enough. And I am timely.
Say it again.
I am timely. I am enough. I am free. I am accepted. I am grounded. And I am organized.
Yes, you are. Yes, you absolutely are. So what you're going to do now is you're going to send me a text message or a Facebook message for you, because this is what I do in my regular program for my clients. You're going to send me a message with all of your I am statements. And I'm going to respond with a voice message of all of your you are statements. Because to be able to have positive affirmations is amazing. But to have somebody else affirming you is what solidifies it. So Ray can tell herself till the depths of her souls, like, I am free. But to hear the words, you are free, is totally different. Totally different. So then my call to action is that, Ray, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning and the last thing you do before you go to sleep at night is you listen to your I am and your you are statements. Because this is what's going to help. And also, anytime you have anxiety that comes up, anytime that you have like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to do that thing, and then like the whole like excuses, I'm not perfect, I'm judged, when all that stuff starts to play, you just name it. You name it and you say, oh my gosh, I'm doing that thing. Like, I want you guys to write this down. I'm doing that thing where I'm not taking responsibility. I'm doing that thing where I saying this is somebody else's fault. I'm doing that thing where I don't think I'm enough. Because I want you guys to really understand the energy behind calling this out. Because once you can name resistance and then claim it, then like, for real, the courage is right there. Because it just becomes like a conversation with a friend. Like, oh, whoa, like, that's weird. I'm doing that thing where I fear something really big because this feels really overwhelming. But I'm free. Like, I'm free to say yes or no to this. That's my choice. And so when you can just say, like, when somebody says like, hey, Ray, do you want to do this presentation? And you go into what I call your nerd, like this version of yourself that's like super nerdy, like overthinking everything. You go into your nerd, and then you can just be like, I'm not going to respond to that right now because I am free to not respond in this moment. Like, you don't have to feed into that energy. You can choose to feed into this piece of positivity, to name it and claim it, and then you move on. Somebody said self-sabotage. Self-sabotage typically is rooted because you don't feel like you're enough. And so you lower yourself to somebody else's standards and end up sabotaging yourself. So typically when we work on self-sabotage, the affirmation that usually comes with that is I am enough, but I would have to know a little bit more context to be able to understand that one. Everybody's like super calm. Did anybody write, like, what did you guys write? I don't see your I am statements. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking about this. Did nobody write anything? Did I fail you tonight? Doesn't matter if I did. You have to take responsibility and play full out. Did people feel this in their gut? Like, did you feel your gut being your guide in this exercise? Could you feel that? Like, what felt right and what didn't? You are successful. You absolutely are successful. So I'm changing excuses into action. So can you change that to I take action? I'm not sure who wrote that down. Carolyn? I would actually take the word excuses out of there if you can. Ooh, strong-willed. I like that. Qualified, confident, connected to source, motivated. And then when you guys have statements like I can, Kate, can you just change that to I prioritize my time? Just take out the can. Like, it's not an option. We know you can choose can or can't, but just like I prioritize my time. And is that self-care or is that like block scheduling? You can unmute. Well, maybe you can't. Does Eliza have it?
I think I can.
Oh.
It would be both.
Both.
Yeah. It's a lot. Time is a big one for me that that's my big one.
When you sit down, okay, Kate, I'm just going here with you. When you sit down, do you feel focused?
Yes. But
Okay.
I have a lot of things to focus on. So it's just the figuring out when to focus on which thing.
Do you have a way to prioritize?
Yes, kind of.
Is it effective?
Somewhat, but I do feel stretched thin all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe not completely.
You should say like, screw it to 4 things that you're responsible for. Shake somebody else's world up. But not Eliza. Don't say.
Oh, the panic. The panic. The panic.
But Eliza, you don't have to panic because you're motivated. So it's good. You got this on your own. Like, you don't need your team. You guys are all independent.
Okay, wait, I need my team.
Listen. There's a difference between needing each other to show up as the fullest version of yourself and needing each other to show up. Like, Eliza doesn't need you guys to show up to just like sit on a call and listen. She needs you to like freaking show up. She needs you to come with your soul on fire. And you deserve that. Like, you need to come with your soul on fire. Because like, why not? Why the frick not? This is the only, like, this is your life. You're here. You already got to this point. So just like live it out. Live it out. I am a conduit of love. My purpose in this world is to allow others the space to feel trusted and to be loved unconditionally. I come from a background of extreme judgment. And in my mind, both of my parents were perfectionists, and I could never live up to their standards, no matter what I did. So for 33 years, I allowed that to be my excuse, that I was never going to be good enough. And then I went into Diamond Club when I was 34 in doTERRA. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Diamond Club, but Diamond Club will make you or break you. And I finished number 7 to prove to myself that I was enough. But in the process of doing that, we grew our team, and I was like the queen, but I wasn't who I was, right? Like, I wasn't showing up as this compassionate human to unconditionally love other people. It took me until about a year ago to figure that out. So the way that my life has shifted and the way that my business has grown and shifted in the last year is far more successful than the first 37 years of my life. And it's because when I wake up in the morning, I remind myself that I am compassionate and that I am here to ignite other people so that they trust me enough to feel unconditional love. Whether that's a child on the playground, a homeless person on the street, like I've dug deeper, right? This is just the first step of the 5-step series that I have. This is like session 1. So think of what you guys experienced tonight. This is like, you have all of your concrete walls up. And so what I did tonight was like, I just helped you kind of break out the foundation to jackhammer a little bit. And then we kind of shined a flashlight on some of that stuff. So to be able to have the gift of working one-on-one is awesome, just because you guys get that attention that Ray got, where it's just you and me, and Ray would have even gotten more vulnerable, right? She would have came up with the I am free statement on her own if it was just the 2 of us in a Zoom room. So I tell you this only so that you know you have an option. Like, you have an option every morning to wake up and drop into your soul and determine what you want out of life. You only have one. You only have one chance. If something was to happen to me tomorrow, this is the legacy I leave behind. The program that I've written, this is my absolute sole purpose. This is what I do. I wake up in the morning to be able to sit in rooms like this and empower the crap out of you guys, because I just want you to feel like you're enough, to feel loved, to feel motivated, to be whatever you want to be. Like, you can be anything, but you have to choose in for you at the soul level, or it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work to choose in as somebody else. It's just not going to happen. You trust, you believe, you stay connected for whatever that means to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or thinks about you. At the end of the day, it's all you. It's all your heart. You can only feel your own heartbeat within your soul. You have to take it responsibly. That's it. I love you guys so much. Like, I love doing these calls more than I could ever express how much I freaking love doing these calls. Like, I love being in a room where you guys are playing full out. I love being connected. I love being able to just like light your fire with clients that I work with. I love like the text messages where they're like, like resistance is happening and I don't remember what to do. And I'm like, okay. So like, that's your nerd. So call it out. And then like, what is, what are you feeling? Let's talk about it. So it goes back and forth. Stay on for a team pick. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize what you were saying. Okay, so a couple of logistics, because I don't want Eliza getting like 17 messages afterwards. So I'm going to type a couple things into the chat box for you guys. For those of you who want to stay connected to me, you can drop your email address into the chat box. And I have mindful mentoring meditations. And so I can go ahead and reply to your email so that you know I got it with one of my meditations for attending tonight. My website is jenpinter.com. If you haven't already looked at it, you can kind of check in and see what you experienced tonight would have been session 1. And then I had told Liza that I have to raise my prices, which isn't something that I planned on doing, but like, you guys, I have kids. You probably saw one come in here and try and get me to put him to bed. So I'm gonna have to raise my prices, but since I was doing this call tonight, I told the web guy to not raise it until Friday night. So if you guys wanted to check out the website and you want to do any one-on-one work with me, then just know the price you see is good until Friday, and then we'll figure it out from there. I think that's it. So I'll go ahead and drop some info. And if you haven't used the chat box before, you can either take a screenshot of it or you can copy and paste it. Hang on, I think I had something in here twice. Let me make sure. Can everybody see the chat box? Oh, actually, I think I may have done it to somebody privately. Somebody's like, yeah, I totally see the chat box, but it was only you, Sherilyn, that saw that. Let's try again. Boom. Does that see everybody? Okay, perfect. Liza, when you end the call, I think you can save the chat, or I think it saves automatically with the recording. So then I can go ahead and grab email addresses from there for people.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I've never done anything with them, but I can for sure, like, I know what you're talking about, so I can figure out how to drop that into an email for you. So
I'm super visual, so I like to take like all of your guys' I am statements and all of your pieces of resistance, and I'll print it all together. And then when I miss your smiling faces, I can just look back and remember everybody I worked with tonight.
Can I take a quick team pic, please, you guys? And then we'll give Jen our thanks. Okay, so everybody smile. All right. We have said this time and time again in our team that personal development and growth was something that we were really lacking. We cover a lot when it comes to fundamentals of the business, back office, power of three, live guides, share guides, build guides, all of that good stuff. And that's important. But I'm really so grateful for Jen to show up tonight for our team call and share so much of herself with us. It was really such a special gift. So thank you so very, very much. Yeah, it's just, and I think my mom's kind of typing something about this, but I mean, I am biased. I don't know what other teams are like, but I love that we all operate in a space where we can feel comfortable and vulnerable and willing to share our deep, thoughts and feelings. And so, yeah, so if you want to get in touch with Jen, I will make sure she gets your email addresses. Her website is super easy, jenpinter.com. You can find her on Facebook. And am I missing anything? Am I forgetting anything else? No, Jen, anything else you wanted to share or say? All right. Well, with deepest gratitude, thank you for sharing so much of yourself with us. Just beyond grateful. And for the rest of you, as always, thank you so much for showing up for yourselves, for your team, for this community. We are so much better together. But I love what Jen mentioned, that it's not just about showing up, but it's about showing up with your soul on fire and going all out. And if we do that in every aspect of our lives, not just with doTERRA, but as peoples, as humans, as stewards of this earth, as educators, as just, beings and souls on this planet, the world will be a better place. So I'm so grateful for all of you. Incredibly grateful. Thanks for staying on a little later call. And I love you guys all so much. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.